Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah, and it's time for another free truck SVG. I love making layered papercraft trucks, and I've made quite a few over the past 2 years. Today we're back with another one, and of course it's Christmas themed. There's a lovely Christmas tree and 3 Christmas presents in the back of this truck. It's completely free to download from craftwithsarah.com/free-SVGs. Let's find out how to make it. You can download the free cutting file for this project at craftwithsarah.com/free-SVGs or follow the link in the description of this video to go straight to the download page. The download comes in a zip folder, and you need to unzip this before you can upload the files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG file into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and start a new project, and then go into Upload over on the left, and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the files on your computer, or drag and drop it in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the folder, and then the file to select is the one which starts SVG in the file name. I'll click and drag that in. And it should look like this with all the pieces one on top of the other. If yours looks different and you see all the pieces next to each other instead, that means you've accidentally uploaded the wrong file. So if that's the case, click cancel down here on the bottom and try again, and make sure you choose the one which starts SVG. This is looking good, so I'll click upload. And then it will appear under my recent upload, so I can click it to get that green border, and then press Add to Canvas. It does load in at a size that is suitable to cut, but I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so that it matches all the other trucks that I've made previously. To resize, click the design and make sure the padlock icon is closed. If yours is open, then you can click on it to close it. I'm going to change my width to 9.5 inches and press Enter on the keyboard, and you see that the height also changed so everything stays in proportion. All of the pieces of this design are shown down the right hand side in the Layers panel. If you want to change any of the colours, you can do that by clicking on the specific piece that you want to change the colour of, and then over here you can change the colour to something different. I like setting the colours in Design Space before I cut it out, that way I can make sure everything goes together and it gives a better idea of how your finished project will look. However, I'm going to do mine exactly as it comes, so here we go. All I need to do is click on Make It over on the top right. This will separate out all the different pieces into the individual colours. You can change the paper size in the drop downs here, and you do need to do that for every single colour individually. Now, one thing you'll notice is that when I did that, it changed my white, so I now need 2 sheets of card. But I think I can maybe get both of those on one. Let's give it a try. You can click and drag to move shapes about. So if I move that truck piece all the way over there, I wonder if I can fit this in the bottom to avoid having to need 2 sheets of card. Give it a try by clicking the 3 little dots and then Move Object. Make sure you choose the other sheet of the same colour and press Confirm. Now it's moved this one here, and I can see that fits beautifully. There's no overlapping of any of the cut lines, so Design Space thought I needed 2, but actually I can fit it all on one. And don't worry that there's now an empty sheet, that will be removed when you click Continue to connect to your Cricut. So go ahead, get all of your sheets of card looking exactly as you want them to, then press Continue, it will connect to your Cricut and you can follow the on-screen instructions to get everything cut out with your machine. Here's my Christmas truck all cut out, and I've just roughly laid the layers on top of each other to check that I'm happy with the colours and that I haven't accidentally forgotten anything. We're going to be sticking this together with a combination of glue and foam squares. The glue I like to use is called Collall, and the reason I like it is because it doesn't bend or wrinkle the cardstock like some glues can do. And then I put it into these needle tip applicator bottles, which is going to make it really easy to get the glue down these small details. The foam squares I'm using are for Dot and Dab, but any will do. These ones are quite small, which again is going to be useful for this one, but if yours are bigger, then don't worry, you can cut them with a pair of scissors to make them smaller. We need to start at the bottom and then work our way upwards. So I'm going to move some of these pieces apart until I'm left with just the bottom sections. I'm kind of roughly trying to keep things in order, seeing as I've already gone to all the effort of putting it where it's supposed to go. And then we're left with the bottom two layers, which is the white at the very bottom. Be a little bit hard to see on my white table. And then the black layer to go on top. This layer will be a foam square layer, so let's turn it over and add some foam. Want to make sure you've got the foam in all the sticky out bits, so the star, this candy cane, and the top of the truck, as well as in the wheels. And if you need to cut your foam squares smaller, then do so. You don't want it poking out over around the edge or in any of the gaps. Otherwise you'll be able to see it when we turn this over, which we do not want. There's that one. And then you also want to make sure you've got a nice amount around the edge of the rest of the design and also in the middle. The reason we add foam squares in the middle is to give it a consistent base the whole way along for the cardstock to sit on. If you didn't put any foam in the middle, you'll find that your cardstock will bend downwards like that and you won't get as good a 3D effect. Even though it might feel like you're using a lot of foam squares, for big pieces like this, I really do recommend just using those extra couple to get a better finished effect. Now I've got all those stuck on, I can start peeling the tops off to reveal the stickiness underneath. Bring the base piece back in. Then I'm going to line this up using the top sections because the wheel bits don't go quite all the way to the bottom, so I can't use that to line up. And then get this so that I think it's in place. There we go. And then gently drop it down. And that means if it's not quite lined up, I can pick it up and move it. And actually I can see mine isn't lined up because my wheels aren't appearing in the middle where they're supposed to be. So let's give that another try. That lifted up really easily. Let's give this another go. That's much better. Okay, now I can push down to seal all of those foam squares. Next, I'm going to start building up, I think, the front of the truck. Starting with the solid red piece, which looks like this, and this is another foam layer. Once again, make sure you've got some in this top bit here, and down the side, and then some around the edge and in the middle. This goes on and lines up like that. And then we can put the next layer on, which is this one, which will be a glue layer. It's a little bit tricky with some of these thin bits, which is where these needle tip bottles are really helpful. Just to put that tiniest little bit of glue down there and there. Now we'll move on to the back of the truck, which is all of these pieces. Let's zoom out a little. When my truck's finished, I want the front and the back to be lined up so that it's nice and flush with each other, which means for all of the back bits, we're going to glue them rather than using any foam, because we've already got so many pieces to go on, and there's only one level of foam here, that we just want to glue all of these so that it lines up. It also means it's much quicker just to use the glue, which is excellent if you're making this as a bit of a last minute Christmas project. First, we've got this little bit of white. Then the tiny candy cane piece just gets a little bit of glue on there and line that up in place. There we go. Next, we're making the tree. This comes in two pieces. You've got the lighter green underneath and the darker green on top. I will use a tiny little bit of foam to add the star to the top of the Christmas tree. That's a nice thing to pop out. There. And now we're on to building the gift, starting with this piece, which I've cut from gold mirror card. Next is the lightest green bit on the design. And that should have been popped out. Then we've got the ribbon that's just going to go on this gift over here. And finally, the last bit of glue, the brown sort of wood panels for the back of the truck. And this has pretty much worked out exactly as I wanted. This back section is just about the same height as the front, which is fab. It's a teeny weeny bit taller, but I don't think you'd actually notice. Now we will move on to these sections, starting with the filled in ones. Make sure you get the big one at the front and the smaller one at the back. And these are both foam square layers. Do the front first. Oops, it got stuck to me. One on there. And one for the back. Then on top of there go the darker red pieces, which will be glued. Now all that's left are the two little circles to go in the wheels. I'm going to cheat a little bit and put my foam directly in the wheels. Much easier, because then you can just dot those on top. Like that. And there we go, Christmas truck all finished. And looking beautiful with all of those gifts, a little bit of shininess from the gold, and he's all ready for Christmas deliveries. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make this cute little Christmas truck. Don't forget, it's a free download from craftwithsarah.com/free-SVGs. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!